On June 12, 2019, beauty YouTuber Jaclyn Hill published a video titled, My Lipsticks. Sitting in her bedroom, Jaclyn was fresh-faced with her hair down and wearing the signature gray hoodie that all 2010s YouTubers wore when they made an apology video. Jaclyn was here to address the claims that her new brand, Jaclyn Cosmetics, had launched with a range of lipsticks that were contaminated with mold, shards of plastic, and, as per the official name, white fuzzies. I have never clicked on a video so fast. Over the following weeks, I consumed hours of commentary content about Jaclyn Hill's hairy lipsticks. I read all the think pieces, I listened to all the podcasts, and I watched all the drama channel videos about this saga. But as a longtime follower of the YouTube beauty community, there was something about the coverage of Jaclyn Hill's hairy lipsticks that I just couldn't get past. Much of it lacked a deep understanding of the Jaclyn Hill lore. There was misinformation being spread about her life, career, and history all over the internet, and missing context that I felt was required to have an informed opinion on the situation. So I couldn't help but wonder, should I be the one commenting on Jaclyn Hill's hairy lipsticks? A writer by profession, I got to work. And I launched a website called CentennialBeauty.com that would report on the news, trends, and creators of the YouTube beauty community. At the time, TikTok was new, and I decided to experiment with putting our articles on the platform. On January 12th, 2020, I uploaded a video revealing that Jeffree Star had split from his longtime boyfriend, Nathan Schwandt. Within hours, it had over 300,000 views. 2 days later, I uploaded a video explaining that Nikki Tutorials had come out as transgender. Over 540,000 views. 3 days after that, Kat Von D was leaving her makeup brand. 343,000 views. The proof was in the numbers. There was a very solid place for pop culture analysis and news on TikTok. But as the years have gone on and Centennial Beauty evolved past covering just the YouTube beauty community, now it feels like audiences are evolving too. What was once one of the most powerful niches on TikTok is now oversaturated with creators and overrun by fake news and unverified claims. Audiences feel tired of thinking and even more tired of having to question who they're getting this information from. Almost 5 years after I first consumed every piece of commentary content that I could about Jaclyn Hill's hairy lipsticks, I can't help but wonder, is this the beginning of the end for commentary content? From Centennial World, I'm Lauren Meisner, and this is Infinite Scroll, a podcast about internet culture, the creator economy, and how social media is shaping Gen Z. Okay, welcome back to Infinite Scroll, everyone. I had so much fun writing that intro. I really felt like we needed a really lighthearted, fun vibe this week after last week's episode. I so appreciate all of your support for last week's episode. I know it was a hard one to listen to. It was a hard one to research. So I am glad that I am back with something a little bit more light for you guys. And you all have been so sweet about the announcement of Mini Scroll. So yes, if you guys didn't hear last week, on April 2nd, I am launching a daily podcast, Monday to Thursday. It'll be like 10 to 15 minutes long, and it will be the news from the day before. And it will be more personality-based, more fun, less serious, less scripted, more chatty, you know? So you guys can get all of that from me. And then Fridays, of course, will be Infinite Scroll. So you'll get the best of both worlds. So as always, please remember to rate, review, and subscribe. It means so much, and it helps my channel grow. It helps my podcast grow. It is so meaningful. Please sign up to our newsletter, also called Infinite Scroll. On Wednesdays, we send out a commentary article about a trend, creator, drama, or news. And on Friday, we round up the 5 biggest think pieces on the internet that week. And join our Geneva group, which is also called Infinite Scroll, where you can chat with other people who are obsessed with internet culture, creator drama, and tea, and you can talk with me. I am recording this episode quite early, so if you guys left me a review this week and I don't read it, I will read it next week because I probably just haven't gotten it yet, but I will read some comments from YouTube on last week's episode. Fizzbish said, amazing episode, really informative, and you really highlighted the need for additional protection for having kiddos. Impeccable timing with Quiet on Set having just been released, which I totally hope you cover. Looking forward to Mini Scroll. Much love. The girlies are killing it. Thank you. Love it. And then, yeah, everybody else is just like, daily podcast, exciting. Big Boy Becky says, wow, mini scroll sounds very ideal for someone who loves daily news but has a short attention span. Best of luck. I'm very excited for it. So sweet. Yeah, Quiet on Set came out. That is the documentary docuseries about Dan Schneider and Nickelodeon and basically what happened to child stars. The problem is that it's not released in Australia yet, so I haven't been able to watch it. So once I do, there is definitely a possibility that I will cover it. But yeah, wild timing. Honestly, didn't line that up, but the conversation is just exploding right now about it in general. But yes, once we get it in Australia, I will watch it and I possibly will cover it. For those unfamiliar with commentary videos, this type of content deep dives into a specific topic. Kind of like this podcast. This content provides analysis, critique, or opinion on a particular situation or issue. A creator might use other content as a jumping off point, or they might simply cover a topic that they are interested in. Commentary creators operate across different social media platforms, but they are most popular on TikTok and YouTube. On YouTube, commentary content is typically presented in a video essay style. You will see a creator sitting in front of the camera, rattling off information about the topic. They are usually well-researched and well-edited, with graphics and text popping up on screen as they speak. On TikTok, where videos are significantly shorter, creators will emulate the structure of a video essay, often using the green screen effect while explaining different topics. Terry Nguyen explains TikTok commentary for Vox, writing, quote, "They are a fraction of the length of YouTube video essays, but constructed with a similar critical and intellectual bent. These ideas are not always groundbreaking or original, but the quippy and digestible presentation style is uniquely suitable for an audience with a limited attention span. These commentary videos are a far cry from the type of videos that TikTok became known for, like dance and lip sync content. Quote, analysis creators are a marked departure from the earliest days of the app when content was short, simple, and straightforward," Nguyen continues. Although this type of content isn't native to TikTok, commentary isn't a new genre for social media. And there are a couple of categories that have paved the way for this type of content to flourish. First and foremost, there have long been people who analyze different types of content that we consume. Before we talked about internet culture, it was mainstream pop culture, specifically TV and movies. Pop culture analysis through video format really started with TV and film reviews on different websites and on YouTube. The YouTube channel Watch Mojo is one of the earliest examples of this. In 2007, they uploaded a video reviewing the Rent musical DVD. 16 years later, they have over 25 million subscribers and exclusively post pop culture analysis in video listicle format. But as the years have gone on and mainstream culture blends with internet culture, the move towards internet culture as the main topic of commentary analysis videos seems like a natural fit. Second, the rise of true crime content has made way for more analytical content online. Over the past few years, the true crime niche has gone completely viral. From podcasts to YouTube videos, creators are embracing their inner armchair detective and breaking down some of the world's most complicated cases. Often, these creators will also share their own opinion on what happened, veering into conspiracy territory. While the true crime genre definitely has its problems, for example, fictionalizing these cases can compromise ongoing investigations and hurt the victims' families, this type of content has led viewers to expect analysis when exploring topics. And when you look at them side by side, true crime and commentary analysis have very similar formats. In both genres, creators typically speak directly to the audience, draw conclusions, and analyze a situation, often from multiple perspectives. They both also have a narrative element. True crime content tends to communicate every detail and event to the viewer chronologically and predictably, building a sense of familiarity and consistency. Commentary creators do a similar thing, opening up with a specific concept or theme before dissecting the whole topic in detail. Third, drama channels have also helped commentary creators and content go increasingly mainstream. We have discussed the origins of drama channels at length on this podcast. For an in-depth analysis of how drama channels operate and their role in the creator sphere, check out our episode with Spill Sesh from last season. But for those unfamiliar with drama channels, they are dedicated to covering drama and news in various communities online. When they first arrived on the scene, They had a specific focus on the beauty community. The rise of drama channels helped shift the focus away from mainstream topics to increasingly niche conversations, with a specific focus on internet culture. As viewers became increasingly invested in their favorite creators and the ongoing drama, many started seeking context and analysis on the situations rather than just a recount. This helped pave the way for longer-form analytical content in the form of a video essay. From a personal perspective, back around 2017 to 2019, I was obsessed with drama channels. I would choose to watch drama channels quite literally over anything else, including TV, because I just loved the topics that they covered. It was like a fresh perspective on what I was interested in, but nobody else was covering them at the time. I was completely new to analytical content, and I became so into it that, as I mentioned in the intro, I quite literally launched Centennial because of my interest and obsession with drama channels. Now, we know that analysis content has been popular on YouTube for years, but recently it feels like the genre has absolutely taken over TikTok. Commentary creators on TikTok have become increasingly popular thanks to the COVID-19 pandemic. This is partly the result of lockdown. We had more time than ever to consume long-form videos, but also with everything slowing down, many of us had more quote-unquote brain power to consume analytical content. Video essayists and commentary creators started to fill this gap. As Trish Rooney writes for Inside Hook, quote, "When the pandemic began in March 2020, the demand for content to consume skyrocketed. Streaming services saw an uptick in usage. Subscriptions on streaming platforms passed 1 billion in 2020. It makes sense that the same would be asked of content creators. During this period, we also saw the lines blur between entertainment and information like never before. Young people were turning to TikTok for updates on COVID-19. Though TikTok is an entertainment platform, it became the go-to place for crowdsourced information on how to stay safe. The crossover between entertainment and information intensified during the Black Lives Matter protests in the United States, where TikTok became a hub for this sort of activism. Back in 2020, the For You page was flooded with all kinds of different posts, some focusing on how to be good allies, and others sharing information on how to get involved in the ongoing protests. As Zoe Williams writes for The Guardian, quote, "For the first 2 days of the BLM riots, the 12s and unders had much more precise understanding of the whole thing, not just the details of George Floyd's death, but the searing rage around it and the likely scale of the protests." Many mainstream publications were covering this shift. Some headlines from this time included, quote, "TikTok pivots from dance moves to racial justice movement" from NPR. Quote, "The TikTok generation of my kids is not only better informed, but more politicized" from The Guardian. And quote, "TikTok serves as a hub for hashtag Black Lives Matter activism" from CNN. As political content became more popular on TikTok, expectations from audiences shifted. Users began seeking in-depth analysis and contextual understanding for conversations on the platform, broadening the scope of entertainment and pop culture discourse. As Nguyen continues, quote, "Social norms have also shifted. Compulsive, self-entitled posting sprees are now more widely frowned upon, even as a coping mechanism to global disaster and tragedy. Audiences seem to expect a value add to what they consume, content that doesn't singularly revolve around the creator, but engages with and elucidates the world writ large." And though it was first known as a music and dance app, TikTok as a platform has many built-in features that really complement the commentary genre, like Stitch, Duet, and replying to comments via video. So TikTok really democratized this genre. Before, with YouTube, for example, there were many more barriers to entry. The level of research and analysis has to be much more significant to fill a YouTube video than to fill a 60-second TikTok, for example. And the quality of content on YouTube from a production standpoint is less user-friendly. With TikTok, someone can pick up their phone, film a 30-second opinion on something, and that is considered commentary or analysis. Now, just because someone creates commentary content doesn't mean it's good commentary content. In my opinion, what makes good commentary content is that it delivers accurate information with an original opinion or perspective. There also needs to be an element of entertainment to the content. However, this entertainment factor seems to be where many creators end up veering into dangerous territory, trying to make their content too sensational in an attempt to go viral, and this can sometimes lead to the spread of misinformation and conspiracy theories. So what is it about internet culture commentary that makes it so interesting to us? Well, perhaps the most obvious reason is that internet commentary is very meta. Creators make content analyzing the environment in which they operate, while the viewers watch from that same space. As a result, most users will have enough context to engage with their videos, at least on a surface level. And the content that these creators make legitimizes interests and conversations that are usually considered frivolous or guilty pleasures. Pop culture, which is often relegated to the world of girl internet, is frequently belittled. Discussions about cultural topics, both mainstream and internet culture, are often trivialized and seen as catering exclusively to teenage girls. As Catherine McLaughlin points out in Study Breaks magazine, quote, "Once teenage girls find something they love, you can predict that it will be just as quickly dismissed in the eyes of most everyone else." This is extremely ironic because stereotypically women-focused interests are very lucrative and they are exploited by many industries. Many companies capitalize on the celebrity and stan culture to make money, operating under the assumption that by catering to teenage girls, they can, quote, "hook them as they grow into independent adults with even greater spending power," as Samantha Grindle writes for Insider. Overall, it isn't surprising that Gen Z users enjoy internet commentary creators. They intellectualize and validate cultural conversations that are often overlooked. As Nguyen writes, quote, "These topics have long been disregarded as frivolous and feminized, and assumed to have less direct bearing on people's lives than, say, politics or personal finance. To that end, the application of academic language and highbrow concepts helps elevate the pop culture discourse, imbuing it with similarly greater significance." If you listen to this podcast, I probably don't need to convince you, but these topics are important. They can tell us a lot about our society at this moment in time, making them an important tool for analyzing and reflecting on the events happening around us. In a similar vein, people just love to know and discuss the tea. This is exactly what commentary content does, while often elevating stories by providing comprehensive analysis and context. Nguyen notes, quote, "Analysis videos satisfy an itch on an intellectual and potentially neurological level. Humans' brains, some more so than others, have a tendency to derive meaning or see connections and patterns in events where there may be none." Many critics of internet culture commentators claim that their content is simply gossip. While this is an attempt to trivialize this genre of content, gossip can be an important part of cultural learning and social development. A number of studies have explored what exactly constitutes gossiping and the role it plays in our lives. One important point of research is that gossip doesn't have to be negative or positive. Quote-unquote neutral gossip, as it can be referred to, is helpful in learning about what is going on around us. Quote, "Gossip is a way of understanding the cartography of the community you're in. It's a means of understanding the structure of that community, and we're all part of multiple communities. Some people call gossip the chewing gum of the mind." Gary A. Fine, a sociologist at Northwestern University, tells the Daily Beast. The journalist also notes that gossiping can be used as a part of a whisper network to, quote, "help people protect each other against those in power who are prone to abuse." This type of gossip aligns with the objectives of cancel culture. Cancel culture aims to hold offenders accountable by stripping them of their status and power, and information-sharing networks play a crucial role in achieving this goal. Therefore, gossip and commentary serve as important steps toward this objective. Lastly, people enjoy consuming commentary content because it feeds their ego. Quote, "The ideological crux of such content is logic, or the guise of it at least, and evidence-based observation rather than unfiltered hot takes. Depending on the topic at hand, creators also don't have to divulge much detail about their personal lives or moral beliefs. It instead becomes an avenue to demonstrate one's intellectual authenticity or observational authority. It is an unofficial pipeline to thought influencing," Nguyen continues for Vox. This thought influencing extends beyond the creators, however, as audiences are highly engaged in this type of content. People love to share their own opinions in comment sections, challenging the creator or bandwagoning on their ideas to also feel like they have contributed something meaningful to the conversation. Because of that, commentary content allows us to center ourselves in someone else's content, which is pretty unique to the genre. It makes us as the audience feel smart, valued, and validated. However, if people are engaging with commentary creators to feed their own egos rather than to genuinely learn, this mindset can leave users reluctant to listen and to consider alternative perspectives. And this reluctance, I predict, will be the downfall of this genre. Now, before I explore this further, I do want to note that commentary and analysis content really is the backbone of journalism and the media industry as a whole. Publications have been writing this type of content for years, whether in print or digital, but this episode in particular specifically refers to social media creators, not media and journalists. Over the past 6 months or so, it seems like audiences have a bit of commentary fatigue. My first indication of this shift was the Barbie movie, where people seemed really against hearing any deeper analysis of the film, and any criticism was brushed off as if the person criticizing the film just didn't understand the movie. We talked about this a little bit in the Taylor Swift episode from a few weeks ago, but I myself absolutely contributed to this with the Barbie movie. COVID played a big role in this wild dichotomy that we now see in culture, where it gave us this appetite for deeper conversation and knowledge while also making us incredibly skeptical of authority figures. We became obsessed with overanalyzing everything we read, watched, and saw. We therapized and labeled all of our reactions and started using therapy speak in regular life to describe how and why we do things. It really pushed us to find a reason for everything because we needed to make sense of the reality that we were living in. So commentary creators were obviously going to thrive in that environment. But the flip side is that now we're exhausted. The answers we were seeking were not answered, and we felt gaslit and lied to by the authority figures who were supposed to protect us, whether that be the media, government officials, or doctors and experts. And both sides of the political spectrum feel this. Those on the far right feel like COVID was this conspiracy and authority figures were lying to us about the virus, where the left feel like authority downplayed the severity of the virus and its impact on human health. And if you chuck in the rise of AI, where the long-standing belief that seeing is believing no longer holds up, these past few years have been the perfect breeding ground for anti-intellectualism. A paper by Studio ATAO defines anti-intellectualism as, quote, a social attitude that systematically undermines science-based facts, academic and institutional authorities, and the pursuit of theory and knowledge. It is not so much a school of thought as it is a set of related strategies to uphold certain systems put in place by those in power. Anti-intellectualism differentiates between intelligence and intellect, favoring the former because it is more about using ideas in a practical way, whereas intellect is more about gathering knowledge and challenging existing systems. Quote, because the continued pursuit of intellectual knowledge necessitates a certain discontent with dogmas, it often conflicts with and challenges widely accepted philosophies, societal structure, and the power dynamics of its time. As a result, anti-intellectualism is evoked as a way to halt the acquisition of new knowledge that would undermine groups with power and privilege, and does so by painting these new ideas as irrelevant to daily life or simply false. The rise in anti-intellectualism has contributed to a media literacy problem among all generations. A 2020 analysis by Pew Research Center found that U.S. adults who get their political news primarily from social media were A, less knowledgeable about a wide range of political topics, and B, more likely to hear about a number of false or unproven claims. When it comes to teens scrolling social media, Peter Adams for the News Literacy Project told Mashable, quote, teens are really vulnerable to a kind of anti-institutionalism and a kind of nihilism when it comes to the sources of information. A lot of them embrace this idea that all sources of information are out to manipulate them in some way, that all sources of information have secret motives. They have these opinions about mainstream organizations in ways that make them really vulnerable to manipulation by bad actors and conspiracy theorists. Journalists Chase D. Benedetto and Alina Cavender suggest that a huge issue with media literacy today stems from the lack of primary source linking on TikTok. Quote, On Twitter, which has live links, a more usable search function, and both misinformation pre-bunks and timeline flags for misleading content, users can usually find the root source of a viral conversation. TikTok, on the other hand, is more like a dark tunnel where you rely solely on your For You page to bring light to whatever is going on. They also specifically point to TikTok commentary creators as a factor in the decline of media literacy. Quote, creators whose brand involves discussing news or popular culture, and there are a lot of them, opt to screenshot headlines, summarize articles, and offer their takes. But it's impossible to know whether the creator even read the article or if they're just offering a summary of the online discourse. Even worse are the accounts that spread false headlines, whether they know it or not. Without live links, all these possible situations are presented to you in the exact same way, with a familiar face on your For You page speaking authoritatively. So despite the fact that there is this very prevalent disdain for media and journalism right now, people still seem to want someone who feels like an authority figure delivering them the news and analysis. But I would argue that now, in 2024, people are starting to question who that authority is. And when it comes to commentary content posted by random creators online, including myself, we have reason to be skeptical. As noted before, commentary content has gained increased popularity in recent years, and many TikTok users have jumped on that bandwagon. As a result, the quality of commentary content on the app has arguably worsened. Part of this is because of the changing nature of virality. With the digital sphere more saturated than ever, commentary creators are having to capitalize on what they know will go consistently viral: criticism and hateful content. As for why negative content goes viral, a big part of it is because us as audiences enjoy feeling a sense of superiority. Quote, hate, love, and enjoyment are strong emotional responses. And sometimes when we find ourselves experiencing strong emotional responses, even in the absence of an actual threat, neurotransmitters like serotonin, dopamine, and oxytocin, for example, are being secreted by our brain. J.R. Illigan, a clinical psychologist, explained this to Vice. Now, using hate for views is not a new phenomenon by any means. This is largely how tabloids have operated for years, and it has since seeped into the digital space, especially on TikTok, which has many problems moderating hateful discourse. Consuming content that is negative also feeds anti-intellectualism, which is another reason why we like it. This content allows us to generalize complicated situations or subjects with catch-all beliefs, which make them easier for us to understand or digest. And commentary creators use a couple of techniques, whether intentional or not, to capitalize on our penchant for criticism. At this moment, you will see many commentary creators talk about the successes or failures of certain influencers. While this may be a way to offer constructive criticism, other times it feels more like a strategy to go viral. The creator behind Be Better Company is a recent example of this. After posting content related to his family's honey making business that wasn't getting a lot of views, he started a series where he discusses the downfall of different celebrities. His videos now go absolutely viral, even if he is not really saying anything new or groundbreaking about the celebrity. This seems to be because people are excited to hear bad news about someone they deem more successful than them. It makes us feel better about ourselves to hear that the D'Amelios, for example, are allegedly flopping. It also confirms our negative bias about influencers, that they have no real talent and don't deserve their fame. Other creators will even be critical of their audiences. In a recent article by Fast Company, Steffi Ko noted how some creators criticize their viewers for virality, a technique she labels as negging. She mentions a video by YouTuber Stephanie Lang with the title, "Congrats, you've ruined your face." In the video, Stephanie explores the popularity of plastic surgery among celebrities, asking, when does plastic surgery start becoming self-mutilation? While Stephanie's video touches on an important topic, Ko says the title encourages clicks by taking a dig at the viewers. Quote, the frames of these videos are simple yet effective, targeting viewers' innermost insecurities, urging them to click. The video titles alone confront viewers with the notion that they are lazy or insecure or hung up on a guy who doesn't care about them. Given the amount of content flooding the YouTube recommended page, Ko admits that punchy titles are one surefire way to get engagement. But this approach can easily come across as mean and sinister. Despite this, the content ultimately relies on a reverse bait and switch strategy, hoping to leave the viewers feeling better than they did at the video's outset. Now, this example is interesting because Stephanie Lang started as a beauty YouTuber. She was in that class of OG Aussie YouTubers with Chloe Morello and Lauren Curtis. But as beauty content stopped getting views, she pivoted to commentary, and her channel is growing again. And this really drives home the point. Commentary has been this trendy type of content for a few years now. With that, the genre has become oversaturated and increasingly negative because clickbait, negativity, and sensational perspectives will cut through that saturation. And this has led to the decline in the quality of content that we now get from this genre, where much of it now appeals to anti-intellectuals who seek to confirm their biases rather than open their minds. To be clear, I am not specifically speaking about Stephanie's content here. I actually watch almost all of her videos, and I appreciate what she is now trying to do with her channel. Another interesting way to look at the possible downfall of commentary creators is through the lens of the death of the monoculture. Pop culture used to be a monoculture. It was dictated by top 50 charts, award shows, TV guides, and magazines. In other words, everyone was experiencing a similar cultural zeitgeist. Kyle Chayka writes for Vox, quote, "Today, the word monoculture is used to describe a monolithic culture. The range of artifacts, characters, voices, and stories that a specific demographic, Americans for example, find recognizable and relatable." The early days of the internet, pre-algorithm, were similar. Everyone online in the early 2010s would be familiar with specific viral moments, like Friday by Rebecca Black, Grumpy Cat, the white and gold or blue and black dress. While there are still some viral moments and universal reference points, like the Barbie movie, it is becoming increasingly difficult to find someone who is on the exact same side of the internet as you. That's because culture has become personalized. Today, algorithms dictate our feeds and are curated specifically to our interests. Quote, "Digital platforms have made entertainment and culture very personalized, driven by algorithms that know you better than you know yourself. Spotify makes playlists curated to not only your specific tastes, but cater down to your listening preferences on the time of day and day of week. Social media has become entertainment where you can watch the daily ins and outs of a girl on the other side of the world like a tiny reality show that only you and 4,000 others know about," writes Crystal Andrews for ZFeed. As a result of this, creators and businesses have had to learn how to manufacture virality. One example of this is the Athenos Feta saga of last year. Rachel Carton, a social media consultant and author of the Lincoln Bio newsletter, claimed that Athenos Feta commissioned influencers to make the quote-unquote viral hashtag roasted feta soup seem like a thing, even though it very clearly wasn't. When Carton reported on the hashtag roasted feta soup, it only had 19 posts on Instagram and 14 posts on TikTok, with some of these posts from influencers who had partnered with Athenos Feta. The roasted feta soup saga is just one example of how virality has shifted in the past decade. As Taylor Lorenz writes for the Washington Post, quote, "The internet has fractured into uncounted disparate algorithms, platforms, and niche communities. The volume of content being churned out every day has skyrocketed. The life cycle of each piece of media has grown shorter, and social media platforms continue to inflate public metrics, devaluing previously impressive online stats. So as it becomes increasingly challenging to distinguish authentic virality from manufactured virality, commentary creators face difficulties in deciding what to cover. And as monoculture continues to decline, engaging in critical discussion about online trends becomes more challenging because individuals are entrenched within their own digital bubbles. Commentary creators are, of course, also influenced by the algorithm, making it increasingly difficult to grasp the complete picture of a situation online. However, being so siloed also opens the door to the spread of disinformation, misinformation, and conspiracy theories in the pursuit of virality. It's easier for a TikTok or YouTube creator to state an opinion as fact, for example, if most of their audience is not on that side of the internet to check them. That being said, it is worth noting that the death of monoculture may foster deeper conversations with these specific niches. Just as a personal anecdote, some of our most niche coverage, like our Gwen Gwiz episode, for example, has been our most successful because no one else out there is covering it. Nonetheless, the death of the monoculture complicates reaching new audiences and ensuring diversity in viewership and opinion. What all of this really leads back to is that commentary creators are often not authorities on the topics they cover. And even if they are, it's almost impossible for us to verify that while scrolling the For You page. While expertise isn't always necessary to have strong opinions on a topic, Audiences are more skeptical than ever of what we see online. The decline in media literacy and the rise in anti-intellectualism are contributing to a volatile environment for anyone in this commentary and analysis space, even those of us who are qualified. Commentary content might not be dead, but it's clear that over the years it's become increasingly sensationalized and its creators are becoming increasingly less credible. We don't need to delete TikTok, but the answer to this issue lands with us, the audience. Use the algorithm for good, says Peter Adams. Teach the algorithm that you're interested in credible information and have it sort of prioritize that for you. It's not a replacement for deliberate consumption of news and a deliberate sort of media diet, but it helps. Infinite Scroll is a podcast written, produced, and presented by me, Lauren Meisner, for Centennial World. Additional research and reporting is by Annabelle Ben-David. Thank you guys so much for listening. I love you guys so much, and I will talk to you next week. Bye.